Hello traders, welcome back to the channel. Junoy here with Trading the Charts Pro. And guys, we're here to break down the craziness that has just started in the market. Guys, it may be time to actually pull the trigger as a short-term trader and start selling some stuff, and we're going to break down why I'm feeling like this on a technical basis based on what I'm seeing in the stock charts right here right now, indexes. All right, so let's dive in. Let's break down the SPX S&P 500 and see what is the market looking like. Today we were down significantly, and that really matters as we go forward into the end of this week, because this may just be the actual beginning. All right, so let's dive in. All right, so looking at S&P 500, guys, we have the S&P 500 chart up. You can see market had major run, guys. We packed on well over 1,000 points on the S&P 500, so it was a significantly good run. But as a trend trader, how do we identify when the trend has started to change? And we talked a little bit about this in the last video, right? We talk about the importance of being able to see the change in market conditions, right? For example, this was what we were typically playing with the S&P 500. We were ideally looking for the bounce around the 50 SMA. We were looking for the bounce around that trend line support. All right. However, last week the market break down below that level, came down very hard, found a short-term support, and we bounced, came back up quickly. All right. So typically when this happen, short sellers, they're having nice pretty bit of profit, so they start locking in some of that profit. That's why you will see the market bounce back as quick as it does. All right, so pretty much from this point, guys, we have to start using technical analysis or the understanding of patterns to help us guide to see where the market is going. All right, so we see that the trend was broken. The 50 exponential moving average is also broken on the S&P 500. Market came down, boom. Buyers came back in, pushed this thing up, so we had a very nice move. And on Sunday, we talked about this move in our last video. Price was able to break back above the 50 exponential moving average. However, price was not able to get back above this support trend line, right? So it is very, very important. So it's very important, guys, that we are able to understand that though price came back to the trend line, price technically did not break back above the trend line strong enough in order for us to get a continuation into the upside. So clearly what this was, price sold off, rally in the short term, and here we are today. Price gap down and continue to sell off to the downside. There was no buyers in sight here, guys. So when the market opens tomorrow, guys, it's going to be super critical to see if this level holds. If the market wipes out this level, guys, we're coming all the way back down to the 200 SMA. So roughly on the S&P 500, we're talking about 100 plus points more to the downside. All right, I'm not even confident that it's probable that we can get a W pattern right here. It's just I don't have any confidence in that. I do believe that this thing is just setting up to come back down all the way back to the 200 SMA, and when we get back down to this level, at that point the trend has completely been torn apart, so it's gonna take some time for the market to stabilize again, probably started moving sideways before we see price action attempt to come back anywhere up into this 4,545 high. All right, so this is why I feel like it's a good time to start selling some stuff. if you're a long-term investor, this is a great time to sit back and just wait until price come down to the level that you're specifically looking for to start buying. All right, but as a short-term trader, we have to start liquidating a little bit of the stuff that we're not 100% confident in and wait around to see, hey, do we get a better opportunity? When we look on the SPX on the weekly chart, guys, we see the break of the weekly trend. This is super important, guys. Once price action breaks the weekly trend, it's not going to stop right here, right now. So I'm still looking for this thing to continue coming back down some more. If the market completely breaks, then we're looking to head down into the retracement levels of this entire move to the upside. But I don't think we're there yet. We still have to come down to the 200 SMA on the daily level, and if we break down below that level, then it's 100% setting up for a retracement. All right, so that's how I'm looking at the SPX S&P 500 right now as we speak. All right, let's move on over looking at the Dow Jones. Right, big picture daily chart. We talk about the Dow Jones being in a channel, right? And last week I said, or Sunday I said, hey, when we're oscillating above and below the moving average inside a channel, we don't technically give it too much value, right? But when we look back, price came down into the support, bounced very hard, and then it came right back up to that 50 exponential moving average. And right around that level, we see that there was a bunch of selling, pushing price action back down, so it couldn't close back above that level. So that was a short-term sign to show us, hey, we're not really coming back all the way up to the resistance. There's a second way to also look at that. If we look at this move all the way come down to support, and we take the retracement measurement from this level here back up to here, this is around 61.8% retracement, which set up for this thing to pull back down into the support. And as far as the Dow Jones go, guys, we're looking to see, can this 33,000 continue to hold as support. Also, we have a rising 200 simple moving average, so it'll be very interesting to see, does the Dow Jones pull back down to this moving average, which is a conjunction of the support, and then we bounce again and just continue to channel. If we break down below this, it's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good. And today we can see, as far as the Dow Jones go, sell off pretty good on increasing volume. So we have, quite a bit of volume coming in on this selling today. So it's not a pullback, it's a sell off, guys. So we have to position ourselves to be ready as this thing starts to pull back down. Same thing with the Russell 2000. What I'm looking at here, guys, we're seeing where the 200 SMA is acting as a support. So price is pretty much in the short term moving from a sideways pattern into a symmetrical triangular pattern, right? So what is critical about a symmetrical triangle pattern, guys, is that the market can break down and the market can break out to the upside. So whichever lever, whether the support gets breached, in this case, if price breaks down below the support, we're looking for it to come back down to the horizontal support of the channel, and at that time we will see if we get a bounce and this thing continues to move as a channel, or we can also anticipate that price could come down to this support, right? Come back down to the support of the triangular pattern. Boom, price could come down, bounce and get tighter, and eventually break out to the upside. But based on the momentum of the other indices, guys, everything is pretty much pointing to a downward move. So we have to be cautious as far as the Russell 2000 as well. But I would really like to see us getting a very nice bounce off the 200 and coming back to the upside. It's a wait and see game right here, but signs are telling us based on this bearish engulfing candle, which we open high and sell off all the way down, engulfing this last candle, that is a sign that selling pressure is really strong. So tomorrow we look to see, do we get a confirmation selling candle that pushed down and closed below the 200, and that is actually showing us clear sign that we're looking to break down at least to the horizontal support for the Russell 2000. All right, so that's how I'm looking at the Russell 2000. Let's continue moving and move on over to the Nasdaq NDX, guys. So far as NDX go, we were in the short term hoping that we would continue to bounce off this support here in the short term, so this short term channel. But we also said if that was not the case, we could look clearly to see price pull back down to the bigger support level for the Nasdaq. All right, so Nasdaq is still in its long-term pattern or its long-term uptrend, but price is pretty much just pulling back down to the major support. Now when price gets to the major support, it's going to be extremely critical what happens at that point. All right, so that's when we will know, hey, is everything gonna be breaking and tearing down, or we're gonna get a nice bounce down here at support for the Nasdaq where we get to put back some cash at work. So in the short term, as far as Nasdaq, I don't see anything really wrong with this market technically, because we're still in the trend. We would just like to continue to see it pull back, and then we get a bounce right around that weekly trend support, which would pretty much set up for a second or another move to the upside in terms of the continuation of the trend. Now if we break down below this level, things can be very bad. But again, we have a rising 200 SMA, simple moving average. So I do believe even if we do break down on the daily below the trend line, there's a probability that we can just pull back to the 200 simple moving average and just continue to move in an upwards motion. So as far as the overall market, what I'd say looks the worst is really the S&P 500. This thing has completely broken down in terms of the trend. We still gotta watch, see what happens when price gets back into the lows at a 43 or 4,305 level, right? Because price can just come back down into this level and just bounce up out of that, and it would pretty much just be a very, very nice, you know, W pattern that takes us back to the upside. So it's really gonna be a telltale day tomorrow as far as the market goes. All right, and lastly, guys, we're gonna look at the VIX. We talked a little bit about the VIX yesterday, guys, hoping that the VIX would probably, you know, come and settle back down below $15. But when we really look at everything, guys, boom, bullish move, price came back down, right? Roughly into the same support, and here we have a very nice spike today. So I'm just watching. This also looks like it can be setting up for a head and shoulders pattern as far as the VIX. So I'm still confident as long as the VIX doesn't get out above 28 and close about above 28, then we may be okay in the short term, right? So continue to watch the VIX, continue to watch those levels that I mentioned earlier on the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the Russell 2000. As far as the Nasdaq goes, we like this pullback. We just like for price to bounce at its long-term support, and that will be a great time to push some cash to work. All right, so guys, if there's some stuff that you're extended on, you're not in love, this is a great time to cut back a little bit on those positions and reassess, what is your plan as this market may be going down deeper. All right, so if you watched till this section, guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.